Welcome to episode 5 of It's Character Building the podcast. This week I welcome Alex Potton, who is one half of Hometown Projects, which is, well, actually I won't tell you too much about Hometown Projects because we talk about what he's up to during our chat. But I'm really glad that Alex was able to come on at short notice and take part in the podcast. This is one that I actually recorded just a couple of days before we're releasing it, so it's different to the other episodes in that a couple of them were recorded months beforehand. So it's nice to kind of compare and contrast and see where we are now and what I'm up to. So yeah, have a little listen and let me know what you think. Welcome, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We've not known each other that long, have we?
Not really.
We normally start off with this story, so what's your version of how we know each other?
Good question.
I don't even know now.
Instagram, I think.
Oh, was it? Yes.
Instagram. And then you just invited us to the pub for a chat. We had a chat.
That
you,
sounds
Adam.
really dodgy.
Yeah.
I just randomly message people on Instagram and ask them to come to the pub with me.
For a chat.
Not what I do.
It was just me, you, Ash, Adam. Nice little chat about Northampton. And since then, you're pretty much, I've known you as the magical fairy that makes everything happen. Like anything that needs getting done, you get done.
The magical fairy, I love this.
Yeah.
I think I need to have a t-shirt that says the magical fairy or something on it. Okay. Cool. I'll take that and run with it. I've been called many things over the years, but that is probably the nicest. So thanks for that. So tell us about what you do.
So that's a broad question. I do Hometown Projects, which is this just umbrella thing. It's not really anything. It's just an umbrella to encapsulate everything that represents Northampton and the community, but not just Northampton. Actually, it can be anyone's community, and it's about helping create a platform for the community where one doesn't already exist. So for local creatives, local artists, local businesses, being able to have somewhere for their voice to be heard, to be seen, to be able to engage with other people in the community. And then other than that, I do freelance writing.
Ooh.
And then get myself busy with as many things as I can. Yeah.
So Hometown Projects, I obviously rep your t-shirt on too many occasions, I think, at this stage. So you've got some... Oh, someone at the door, hang on. Okay, so never has that happened before. Randomly, knock on my door, somebody wanting to clean my windows. So there you go.
A good Samaritan.
I don't know if he was a good Samaritan.
No, actually, £12 a window is not a good Samaritan.
He seemed a bit strange. But yeah, where were we? We were talking about t-shirts, I think.
We were. How you rep yours everywhere.
Everywhere, at every opportunity. So yeah, you've got your t-shirt designs.
Yeah.
Couple of different designs.
We have a new design by a local artist called Freezer.
Ooh.
His actual name's Fraser. He has incorporated for us the lift tower into the second N.
Love.
And that is going to be somewhere on our next product.
Okay.
I don't know where. We haven't actually finished it yet.
Right, okay.
Because we unfortunately had been illegally using Photoshop to do everything.
Oh.
And then Adobe just messaged me hey, you're doing something illegal. We were just we better stop doing that.
Oh, were you not meant to then?
No.
Oh.
So we just sort of had to stop doing everything really quickly. So yeah, we're working on the clothing now.
So am I wearing an illegal t-shirt?
No.
Oh, I was going to be really excited then if it was.
I mean, I say no.
But you mean yes.
Maybe.
That's fine. Okay, so you've got your t-shirts and stuff, and that's where you kind of started with Hometown Projects. You launched it with the clothing. But you want it to be much more than that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it started off as being clothing, events, media. That's what it's always wanted. I've wanted it to be, but we had to go with clothing first because I've never made a magazine before. I've never put on like an event in Northampton. So the clothing was just the natural thing to go with.
It's a bit easier to start with, I guess.
Yeah. But then aside from all of those, it's also then starting to go into other things, like we've spoken about doing a radio show. We've spoken about doing so much, like it just doesn't really have a boundary. It can just expand and expand and expand, which is why the name helps us actually.
Yeah, that's much like the Happy You project, because that's like our umbrella thing for all of the happy stuff that we do. Because you start doing stuff and then you're like, oh, but I could do this and then I could do that and then you've got like 5 different things.
Yeah, well that's what I like about having the projects on the end, because it's just like it's not just a hometown project. It's like it can just literally be anything, and as long as it helps promote the platform within the hometown, then it's doing its job.
So where did this idea originally stem from?
I have no idea. I could give you some like deep. I was walking around and I realised Northampton needed something. I had my own clothing line when I was 17, and I was rubbish at it. Like I had no idea what I was doing. Always just wanted my own business. And then last year I wanted to start something new, and I was just trying to design something and I just couldn't come up with anything. And I just, in my head, I had the Hometown Projects logo for some reason, like just this box with text down the bottom right hand corner, and I just drew it, put it on a tote bag and wrote Hometown Projects, and I was like, I like it. And then it stuck, and then I built it from that. There's no deep reason to it at all.
Okay. But what about, so you mentioned about like events and stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of events are you going to be doing?
And the obvious one is always going to be music, because it's easy to get people into a room for music, and it's like harder to get people in for more sort of niche events. But I do want to be able to do things where businesses can get involved as well, so like food fairs, drink fairs, and just things where anyone can come together and we're able to pull in all the different pockets, not just music, not just art, not just this, not just that, but everything.
Okay. Why is that important? Like
Because I've grown up in this town and I always realised there was not a lot going on. So you've got all the different pockets of community, you've got all the different communities, but there is no thread that connects them. And I feel like for a lot of young people that grow up here, it's sort of a disservice that they don't have platforms to bring all those things together, so that they can scream about their hometown, so that they can, instead of sitting indoors all day, wake up and realise there are a million things to do in Northampton. You don't need to go to Milton Keynes just because they've got an IKEA. You don't need to go there just because they've got a fancy indoor shopping centre. You can stay in Northampton and you can go and find all these different things. You can meet all these different people, and I just want to be able to create that space and the platform or whatever the word is where it all comes together.
And like what you say about going to Milton Keynes for shopping, because I really feel like people think that, or they judge a town based on its retail centre. That's it. And I find that to be a really strange thing to judge a place on, because I don't go shopping. Like, it's not really a pastime of mine. I mean, I wouldn't even have enough money to go shopping every week. Like, I don't understand why that is the focus of many people's kind of perceptions of a place.
Yeah.
And especially given that all across the UK, the same situation with the high streets is that they're changing, and that there's empty shops, and that they're just not what they used to be. But there must be a reason for that. It's not just here, it's everywhere. Like, what do you reckon about, because we get a really bad rep about Northampton Town Centre, don't we?
Yeah. I think there's a reason high streets and department stores are dead, and I don't think it's because online came along and nabbed it, I think online offered an alternative to what was already dead. I think if you go to every town and they've all got the same shop, a John Lewis or an IKEA or a Marks and Spencer or whatever the shop is you can name, what makes another town attractive to you if you just go to the next town and it's got the same stuff? You're just going to go to another John Lewis, find the same plates. You're going to go to another Debenhams and find the same clothes. That's not fun. No one enjoys that. And I don't think the reason is because, people just change their mind. They're just bored. And I think that's why all of a sudden independence just boomed out of 2008, because they offered something different. And if you look around Northampton, the only people doing amazingly is the independents, like Yellow Bourbon. And you go to the big chains and they're just empty a lot of the time, unless it's a really busy period, but they don't offer anything alternative.
I don't think people are spending in the same way that they used to either. I mean, I remember back in the olden days when town centres, Northampton especially, when I was a kid, would always be busy. People would always be in the shops, and it is busy now because I go into the town centre at different times of the week, on the weekend, and there are people there. So it's bullshit that they're saying that the town centre's dead. It's not. But I do feel like people are being a little bit more choosy with what they spend their money on.
Yeah.
And going out and needlessly shopping, and especially because things are more expensive, I feel, than they used to be. There isn't the same disposable income maybe that people have, and they perhaps don't want to just spend money on needless stuff. Maybe there's starting to be a change in people's mindsets about what is important. I'd like to think there is.
For me personally, my whole thing is, if I would rather spend my money on supporting a guy who's taken the plunge and started his own business than filling the pockets of a CEO of a mega corporation. I don't ever want to go and do that.
No.
Even if it's the same product, I would rather spend that extra 5 minutes going off the beaten track to support that little business. That's how I personally see it. Is just, one, people are bored, and two, I think there's a lot more people who are sort of more conscious of where their money goes now. I think that is a big thing since the whole high street dying thing. I think people are more conscious of lining the pockets of greedy people.
Yeah. And there's the big the tax scandals about Starbucks and all these other companies, and I think that's probably one of the best ways that we can vote. So I know obviously we vote in terms of politics, but the way we really make an impact in a capitalist society is voting with our pounds.
Yeah.
And if we put our vote towards, like you say, the guy who's taken a leap and started his own business versus into these massive corporations, then if enough of us do that, then the votes are counted.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear.
For me, I the only time I really go into a Starbucks or a Costa or anything is if I just want to use their Wi-Fi. I never buy anything in them. That's the only time. If I need Wi-Fi and I need to do work, I'll go in there, tap water and ice, and I'll sit in there. And then when I want my coffee, I'll leave and then go to my independent.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fill the independent by just wasting his space. I'd rather just go to Starbucks and waste their space for a bit. That's the only time I use them.
So if you see somebody in a Hometown Projects t-shirt in Starbucks in the town centre, kick him out. No, don't really. Yeah, so town centre, because we're trying to be a bit more involved in our town centre, aren't we? And looking at stuff that we can do to try and turn the spotlight and make people realise that actually it's not that bad of a place and there are things going on.
Yeah.
We recently went to a meeting run by the Business Improvement District.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it?
Old, pale, stale.
Old, pale and stale.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It was a load of old white men in a room full of old white men talking about decisions that are being made by old white men that are going to impact a lot of young, mixed ethnicity, gender people. And it doesn't make sense. I understand that the people at the top are always going to be, you know, the more experienced, the older, and typically in the way the country's run, it's going to be in communities, it's going to be older, you know, like it is going to be the typical old, pale and stale thing. But I don't understand why they don't even attempt to diversify it at least a little bit and try and get a younger voice up there with them. I don't agree with tokenism, like just doing it for the sake of it, but there's I don't know, I was just listening to it, I was just like, there's nothing, it could have come out of any press pack, and that was it for me.
I thought it was a really good idea in a way, because just to fill people in who don't live in our area, this meeting was represented by the Business Improvement District, who are there to make stuff happen in the town centre, by the Borough Council, and the university. Who else was there? I think that was it?
Police?
Oh yes, the police. So what they wanted to do was, they invited people to come and talk about what's happening in our town centre and what their plans are and how they're going to engage people and basically improve it. That was the idea.
Yeah.
And they talked about you know, what the current situation is and why we're in our current situation, but also looking to the future and the positives and all of the good stuff that's going to happen. So I thought like the premise of that was a really good idea, because, you know, it is important for people in positions of power to communicate with, you know, and I think this was really this one was based towards businesses more than members of the public. But like you say, it was a bit disappointing, just in the representation on stage, and also when I asked a specific question about how they were going to engage people who are different ages, ethnicities, genders, sexualities, they didn't answer the question.
I don't think they understood the question.
They didn't understand the question,
because
all they heard was
feed.
like race, and then they were like, oh yeah, well, you know, and then they started talking about BME like people, and I was just like, no,
the answer was pretty much, we're going to get more BME police officers. I was just like,
that wasn't that wasn't even the question. Yeah, you checked the Twitter feed, did you?
I checked the Twitter feed. That was the only question that they didn't feature on the Twitter feed. They featured all of the other questions. That was the only one they didn't feature, because they were doing like a live tweet feed.
Is that so?
And that was the only one that didn't come up, because I don't think anyone in that room actually.
They didn't understand the question.
I just genuinely don't think they even have a.
I mean, maybe I didn't word it well. I don't know.
No, it was worded fine. We all got it.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience got it. I spoke to Nicola from the artist table. She got it. They didn't.
Right.
Because I don't think they understand what diversity means in terms of representation of people in the community. I don't think they get that.
That's a shame. Might have to contact them and be like, oh yeah,
I think,
let me talk to you.
Yeah. Rob from Bid itself, I think, he's great, because I think he does actually understand the problems. He does understand that. From when I spoke to him, he does seem to understand that young people need to be able to have a voice. He does seem to understand that there are different communities, whether that's ethnicity or whatever. He does understand that they all need a voice, because we were talking about the music festival, and then we just discussed sort of, you know, like the Caribbean and African communities we've got here and how they've got no representation at the music festival. He gets that, but I don't think anyone from the council that was speaking did. I don't think the MP did. The MP wanted to get out of there as quickly as he could. He must have had the engine running outside.
Yeah, yeah. He hot-footed it out. Yeah, I did. Yeah, do you know what? It's interesting as well, because I feel like we were obviously the youngest people there. Sorry, I shouldn't say we, because I'm a lot older than you.
Not that much older.
Well, quite a bit. You were one of the youngest people there.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was that there weren't any other people really in their 20s at all in the room. No. And I feel like it's quite sad that people don't get involved in that type of community stuff more often. Maybe because it is just old, pale and stale.
I think it's the way... no one I knew even knew it was going on. The way it was marketed is in the way that only older people typically understand. We know because we've got things in the community that we're doing. Anyone below 45, I don't know how they would have known.
Yeah, because unless they were directly a business owner in the town centre of Northampton. Like, no one else would have known.
No one listens to Radio Northampton. I know that sounds horrible. No one under the age of 40, really.
Sorry, BBC Radio Northampton. They've been really good to me lately, but
They've been
very
amazing
true.
to me, but you don't get young people who want to have fun most of the time listening to local news on a radio.
No.
That's just not a thing you do when you're young. Like, so I don't know how young people would have even known about the bid meeting.
No.
And also it doesn't appeal to young people either, sitting in a meeting room.
No.
Really.
I mean, it didn't really appeal to me while I was sat there. I was like,
it was
wow.
a lot different to what I expected. I was expecting about 30 people sitting in like a circle and we'd all just talk, debate and sort of thrash it out and come with a conclusion. There was no conclusion, there was no debate, there was nothing. It was...
Yeah, it was a presentation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was kind of a real dull presentation. Yeah, it's a shame because I feel like a lot of people in similar positions to us, so, you know, living in towns and cities across England who, you know, there are issues in every town city, but I don't see that people feel that they have the power to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone thinks that it's literally the pale, stale people who get to make the decisions and we get no input into that.
Yeah, I think it's sort of that whole thing of people... I feel this might be a tangent of an idea, but I've personally always have thought that maybe it's the whole education thing is you go through education to learn your place and then you just sit on the conveyor belt of life and you do as you're sort of told to. You pay the mortgage, you do this, that. I think that stops people from thinking they can do anything or make a change. It's that whole you become a number. Yeah.
So how do you have this mindset being so young, Ran? Because when I was, how old are you?
23.
23. So when I was 23, I was, what was I doing? Probably drunk somewhere. Probably not giving a shit about anything.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't know what community meant or even thought it was anything in relation to me. So how have you got this?
So I dropped out of school at 14. I dropped out of school at 14, I think, and then that was education done for me. Like, I was not an education person. I can't do education.
Can you drop out at 14? Don't they hunt you down?
It is highly illegal. But yeah.
How were your parents not like locked up?
I don't know. I just wouldn't. I'd get dropped off at the gates in the car because I went to like quite far away. I couldn't walk to school or anything like. And I'd just go around the school and just not go in. Like, me and school did not get on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. And I just sort of enjoyed... I love learning. I just didn't like that whole turn up at 9, sit in this mini prison for 6 hours and look at a board for 6 hours. Like, that for me was bad. And I while all my friends were going, I sort of just have like loads of free time to just sit and read and learn things by myself, but not the... This is going to sound so conspiracy, isn't it? Like, so conspiracy theory. Like, just not the stuff that you get taught of, you've got to do this, and this. I had to sort of figure it out for myself, I guess.
Okay.
And then I got to like 16, I wanted to start business. I started a business. I did shit because I didn't know what I was doing really, and I had to figure it out. Then I met a girl, ran away. All this.
Where did you run to?
High Wycombe.
Oh, okay, random.
Yeah. And then that's when I started writing. I got into writing politics, actually. I spent about 2.5 years doing freelance politics writing.
Really?
That's really weird, isn't it?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So I just started doing like think pieces
Right.
about politics, and then I realised they were getting like quite popular, and then I started getting like emails asking if I'd write little like columns and stuff.
No
It
way.
wasn't anything amazing. Like I wasn't in the Spectator or anything like that. Like,
Yeah, but still.
and then it got to like the whole Brexit thing, and I got bored of writing the word Brexit about 5 times a day. Then I decided to run away to Italy for 3 months, came back, and then I was just like, no, I'm not going to just keep doing this job thing where I hate every job I do. And then voila, here.
So, are you a secret millionaire?
No.
Are your parents millionaires?
No. No.
How do you manage to run away and do loads of stuff and then...
So, how I ran away to Italy, I was working in Primark. It was supposed to be a stopgap. A year and a half later, that stopgap had extended by about a year and a quarter because it was only supposed to be 3 months. I was like, shit, what am I doing? And I wasn't having any fun. Like, I was literally working. The money was just sitting in a pot and I was doing nothing ever. So I quit, and then I panicked. I was like, oh no, I need work. So I did that thing where you go on Indeed and press apply without even knowing what you're applying for. A day later, I got a phone call, like, and it was an Italian number. I was like, this is a weird scam to be calling me. And it was some guy, I think his name was John, and he was just like, you applied for a job in Italy? I was like, huh?
You're like, did I?
He was like, yeah, you still interested? I was like, what job was it? And he recalled the job back, and I was just like, yeah, I'm up with that. And he was like, we'll fly you out in 3 days. I was like, huh? He was like, yeah, we'll send you over a contract now. If you can just finalise that, tell us your nearest airport, we'll get you out. So I was like, sure. Did all of that. My family were convinced I was going to die.
Yeah, it sounds really suspicious.
Yeah. Got on a plane. They were just like, this guy in a white van is going to pick you up at the airport.
Oh my
I was
God,
like,
you're
huh?
mental.
So I got off this plane in Italy, baking hot. This big, like 6'7" guy called Matt picked me up in a van, just drove me off to this holiday site, and
to kill you.
That was that.
Oh, so it was like, what was the job?
It was working
International
on
drug dealer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cocaine. For Escobar.
Okay, cool.
No, it was working on a holiday site.
Okay.
So like one of those fancy campsites where there's like, imagine Bill in Aquadrome.
Yeah.
But in Italy. Yeah.
Nice.
And then did that. That was only till like November because it was like a seasonal thing. And then I got kicked back. And then they were like, yeah, come back next year. And then for some reason I just didn't. And then that's when I started falling into this cycle. So I'm quite happy I didn't go back actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise hometown projects would not be a thing.
Look at you now. Look at you go.
Yeah. And now I've taken the full risk. Like I was working at Boost Trampoline Parks for like a year. Yeah, a year exactly. And I was just like, no. I handed in my notice and I was just like, let me go out into the world and like risk it.
Oh my God. How's it going?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yay! Not yay, but yay, you're being honest.
Yeah. Anyone who says to you that quitting a job and it goes great straight away is lying.
Okay, good. Phew. Oh, the relief.
Anyone who says their business works instantly, I'd love to know how.
Good, because I'm super skint. Like,
Yeah,
and
my bank account is just
ridiculous.
constantly like going down, and I'm watching it with major caution.
Yeah. So I've got this part-time job because I quit my proper job in December last year. And I was a learning and development specialist for a welfare to work company, paid reasonably well, travelling all over the UK, like doing all right. It was good. And then I was like, no, I like this writing thing. I'm going to give it a go. Quit my job, and now I'm working part-time, and it is a slog.
Yeah.
It is hard work.
Yeah.
Like, to get writing, and I'm doing like some training stuff as well, but it's slow to get off the ground. Like,
It's majorly slow.
and I'm sending emails, and you don't want to sound too sort of pushy or beggy or all the rest of it, but I know I've got something good to like offer people, and then they'll let you down, and like they'll arrange a meeting and then they'll cancel it, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. Or, you know, they'll take ages to come back to you, and it's just like nobody tells me any of this. And then I work 20 hours a week for Age UK, which is a lovely job. It's brilliant, and it kind of is keeping my mortgage paid, basically. And then all of the other stuff that I'm doing, like, so many people ask you to do stuff for free all the time.
Yeah.
And like, it'll be great exposure. What?
This is my problem. This is my problem. Like with my freelance writing, everyone goes, "Don't worry, you'll get good exposure. We've got so many followers." I'm just like, okay. And when the guy comes asking me for my phone bill, am I going to say, "I'll tweet about you"?
How fucking annoying is it, right? From a writing perspective. So, I don't know about you, but like, writing for me, it takes me time to think about, obviously, what I'm going to write about. And then you have to try and, spew something out onto a page. Then you've got to really like analyse it and think, does it make sense? And, your structure and your sentencing and is this engaging and do I need to change it about? And like, it takes a lot of time and effort and creativity to write something that's even a few hundred words. In fact, the shorter the piece is, for me, the harder it is, because you're going to try and then squeeze everything into your word count. But like, people don't want to pay for writing,
no.
and it makes no sense. In fact, people don't want to pay for creativity in general.
No.
Musicians, physical artists, writers, it's ridiculous, and we're just as skilled and use just as much brain power as an engineer or whoever else. Like, it just fucking pisses me off.
I think people think it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
But then if you've taken your creative field as a profession, no one seems to value it.
Or I think people think it's easy because everyone can write a sentence. I think people think that they can write a really good piece.
Yeah.
But actually they really can't.
I implore anyone who thinks they can write to try and get published in something.
Yeah.
Because I've been writing now for 4 years and I still struggle to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Because unless you've just got a whole massive chock-a-block portfolio, no one wants to touch it.
Yeah, exactly. And I what I found as well is because I started writing and I started through blogging, and of course anyone can be a blogger.
Yeah.
And when I see other bloggers and some of the stuff that they do, and they might have more followers than me, or they might have something published and it's shit, and I'm just like, how is that a thing? Like,
I feel like
you're
now
shit at what you're doing, and you're clearly making money out of it.
Yeah.
What?
The whole blogger thing has become so oversaturated.
Yeah.
And it's just full of people. I didn't even realise until recently that it was a thing to just like make videos about what you just bought when you were shopping.
Yeah.
A haul.
That's a thing. A haul, yeah.
That's actually a thing.
What?
Like, you can write an article now about what you just bought from the shop.
I'm so glad you said that. It blows my mind as well. So fucking YouTube has got a lot to answer for. I don't know, maybe because I'm a little bit older or whatever. I didn't think people sat there and watched YouTube videos like all day, every day.
Yeah, no, they are literally like the best form of, not the best, one of the most used.
I had no
mediums
idea.
Of media now.
I literally thought people used YouTube to, like, if I want to learn how to put up a shelf, FYI, I know how to do that, but if I wanted to learn something DIY, then I'd go to YouTube and somebody would be able to tell me.
People have full careers on there now.
But, like, about what they've bought at the shop, like you say, or what they ate for dinner. I don't know, like, what the fuck?
I think it's literally shaken up the whole creative field, because it's. I don't want to be horrible about people because it's them still doing what they want to do with their life, but it's just like they're putting across things that they just wanted to do to make money, and then they're calling it creative. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, going shopping and making a video of you going shopping is not creative.
Absolutely not.
But then
you're not a stylist, love.
No.
You've just bought some stuff from the shop.
It's then moved that into the creative field, which has then oversaturated the creative field, which makes it impossible for anyone who uses it to make money.
And this is the other thing. It's about what do you value, and how are certain topics more important than others. So Like for my writing, so I started writing about positivity. Now, there's no money in that. You know, if you want to be a professional blogger, you have to blog about travel, being a parent, fashion, beauty. That's about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you make money. But talking about mental health and how you might overcome loneliness doesn't make any money.
No.
But to me, and I'm going to sound maybe a bit snobby, but I feel like what I write helps people, or could help someone, and therefore has more value than what lip liner is good this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, everyone's going to hate on me for that, but...
Yeah, no, I think it's right, because where it's just like makeup products or clothing in a video, it's basically just advertising.
Yeah.
You're basically becoming an advert for a company.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And that's why they attract so many people, because I think the companies sort of push things in their direction and sort of help them. But then, like your work where you're writing to actually help people, then goes unnoticed in favour of that.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad.
It is, really. I think it's a sorry state of affairs to be in.
It is. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm sounding like the Pale and Sale now, aren't I? I'm just like, oh, the country's gone to the dogs. It's not like it used to be.
You see, someone in my family did, when they discovered like what was on YouTube, they said, this is the fall of Rome.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
to be a little bit melodramatic about it.
Wow.
This is the fall of Rome.
Do you know what? I do get it. Like, the older I get, and the more I hear myself say stuff, I'm like turning into my parents. And not because I feel like everything's now shit, because it's not. Like, and I think there's a danger that people put these rose tinted glasses on and be like, oh, do you remember the 60s, or like now, do you remember the 90s and how great it was, or the 80s? And it's like, no, things were still shit. Like, there was still a decent amount of shit as well as good.
I think it's just everyone always says it about the era where they had no responsibility. That was the difference. Like, you didn't have mortgages, you didn't have kids, you didn't have this, you didn't have X, Y, Z. You just had your life to live.
Yeah.
Whereas you grow up and then it's a little bit harder, you've got a lot of responsibility. And yeah, I think that's the problem, going back to sort of the community thing, is in Northampton you've got a lot of people who do that. It was so much better before. No, it wasn't. There's probably more people dying back then, like more people in poverty back then.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few people say, especially about Kettering Road, because I live just off Kettering Road, and everyone sort of says, oh yeah, back in the day it was a really cool street, and you know, there were nice like independent shops, and now it's kind of full of chicken shops and charity shops and stuff. Which may have been the case, but okay, if you don't like it, what are you going to do about it? Or like, you know, okay, what can you change that can make, you know, that street better? Okay, it's really dirty and gross. Go and pick up some litter then. Like, I don't get that kind of attitude.
They say it's not cool, but it's not cool for them.
Yeah.
Like that's another major thing, is just because it's not what you consider cool anymore, or not what you consider good, it doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah.
It's just you've lost your appreciation for it, but other people still think it's just as cool as you did. For me, Kettering Road and Wellingborough Road are my two favourite places in Northampton, because any food you want, you can find there. From anywhere in the world, you can go into one of the shops and you will find a new food that you could try that day. You can like meet so many different cultures. I don't know how many different languages you hear as you walk up and down those roads.
Yeah, loads.
But there's so many, and I love that. It's like a little Pandora's box. Once you open it and you start exploring, there's so much to actually understand and learn. And I love that.
And I kind of love the griminess of it as well, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, I don't want to be kicking around litter every day, but I quite like the kind of... I like it that it's not really polished. You know, if you go to somewhere like Bath that is immaculate, it's lovely, but it doesn't feel real to me. I like the kind of, you know, a little bit of graffiti, or, you know, some stickers on the lamppost or whatever it is. I kind of like it because it's just a bit real, and like you say, it represents so many different people, and that's why I will always live in town. because I want to feel part of something that isn't just like, oh, my next door neighbour is exactly like me. I don't want that. Like,
no, I like that you can run into, you can bump into, you can be friends with anyone. I love that.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
amazing to me. That's one of the best things about, I think not even just Northampton, but England as a whole, is there's so much multiculturalism. I don't understand the people who hate it. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can genuinely hate multiculturalism.
I have no clue why people have an issue. Like, I guess I've heard people say, oh, you know, they, whoever they are, they're coming over and they're taking all of our jobs, or they're claiming all of our benefits. Well, which one is it? They're either taking the jobs or taking the benefits, or perhaps just being fantastic members of society who like have a massive positive contribution to something.
Yeah.
And why people get so territorial over these tiny little weird fake lines that we've drawn for ourselves. At the end of the day, we all live on one planet.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've drawn a line around a piece of earth and says that now we're going to call it England, and because I was born here, I have certain rights. It's bullshit. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. And the fact that we, as a nation, if we look back over our checkered history and all of the awful stuff that we've done to different societies across the world, and now we're getting all up in arms because a few people because we've done pretty well, people want to come and live in a society that will look up, you know, that's caring and developed, and now we're all getting pissy about it. Like, what the fuck?
Like, you wanted your cake and to eat it. You wanted to go and invade a country, steal everything, build an amazing country, and then when the people from the country that you've ruined, killed, pillaged, whatever you want to do, when they say, can we have a little bit, and you go, not a chance. That's disgusting. No, you can't come over here. Like, how can you even have that logic in your head? I don't understand.
And then it's the people as well also who have made money, who will then go and buy a holiday home in Spain, move over there, expect everybody to speak English to them, you know, go only into the British expat shops, and there's bloody, I know one of my friends lives in Spain, and there's an Iceland down the road, and there's a Marks and Spencer's in, you know, and it's all this, and like the double standards makes my blood boil. Yeah,
because it is always, usually that sort of person that hates multiculturalism. The same people who would happily go somewhere else and use blind ignorance to get through instead of even just shouting in English until they understand, instead of even trying another language. I'll just shout until you understand. And point. I don't get it. But that's genuinely what I love about England as a whole, is
definitely.
I don't like the word melting pot. I don't like that as a phrase. The mosaic that we've got of all the different things, where everything's just like shattered and then put all together again. I like that.
Yes. That's a good it's a good like metaphor for our town at the moment. And I know we're talking very much about Northampton, and people listening might not even have been here, but please do come visit. It's a great place.
Yeah, you should. It's all right. it's good.
Do you know what? I was walking around earlier. I was walking around the town centre, and in my mind, my vision for the town is that people will see Northampton as a place to come for a city break. Like, I would love that. I'd love that to be like a destination on the list of, oh yeah, I'm going to Liverpool, or I'm going to, you know, I don't know, York, or I'm going to Northampton, like to come and see it and to experience it. And I looked around, and I walked around the town centre, and I looked up at all of the beautiful architecture, and I couldn't believe it.
There's tons.
I knew that there was some, but even in the not so desirable streets or areas, like, you look around and everywhere there is beautiful architecture. If you just look above the shops, you see something amazing. And I was trying to look at the place with new eyes to think, like, if I visited this for the first time, would I be impressed? Like, would I like it? Of course I'd like it. I think it's one of the prettiest town centres in terms of architecture that I've probably seen. And I've been to lots of town centres.
The market centre as well is like, if you look around the market, every single building is different.
Yeah.
There's not one the same. Like, even the tiny little ones that are crammed next to each other, every rooftop is different.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like, if you go up to the top of, or like any of the floors where you can see out on the Grosvenor, and you just look around Northampton, you can see so many different types of architecture. You can see like brutalist. I'm not going to try and name architecture. That's really
older ones, newer ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the new university campus and had a tour around there a few weeks ago.
It's a nice gaff.
Oh my god, it's sick, isn't it?
It's amazing.
And the did you go out into like the rooftop bar thing?
I didn't.
Right. Well, they've got this rooftop bit, and the view was so cool because you could see the lift tower, obviously. You could see the Royal and Derngate. You could see the top of All Saints Church in town centre. You could you could see Carlsberg, obviously. You could just see all of the iconic like Northampton stuff, and I was like, why doesn't somebody make this into a skyline? You know, like you'd have the famous London skyline or something like that. And I just thought, we've got that as well, but people forget that we've got like these iconic buildings that are just amazing.
I think the thing is a lot of people say the main buildings that you can see, they say they're ugly, but they're not. Like, the lift tower, yeah, it's like a big concrete structure, but it still looks amazing. Same with Carlsberg, and I love the smell that comes out of Carlsberg.
I love the smell of Carlsberg.
That for me is home.
No, exactly. No one else loves Carlsberg.
No one does.
Like, I don't know what it is, what they do on a Friday, but it's a Friday afternoon. That's the smell. And I come out and I'm just like, yeah, I can smell you today, Carlsberg. Yeah. And I think it's great. As
soon as I smell that, it just makes me, it just transports me back to like being a kid. Because I remember when I first used to smell it when I was a kid, and I just never knew what it was. My mum would always tell me. To this day, like when I smell it, it just makes me feel like I'm at home.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it too.
It's amazing. But everyone I say I love it too, they just go, that's disgusting. Why would you like that?
Yeah, even the strongest Northampton supporters, no one likes the smell of Carlsberg. Apart from you and me.
Yeah.
Apparently, just the two of us. But yeah, coming back to the lift tower, I was thinking about it because, you know, in this big dream of it being like a destination for people to visit, the lift tower would be somewhere that's open to the public that people pay to go to the top at. You know, if you think about any other big city across Europe or even the world, if they've got a high structure like that that's no longer used, for example, in Berlin, they've got the TV tower. You know, there's all sorts of those similar things across lots of cities. They're missing a trick. They could have that as a tourist attraction, open it up to the public. People would pay to go to the top, take pictures, do all that jazz. They could have a coffee shop up there, all the rest of it. Like, it makes no sense that they don't do that.
No, it would make an amazing observation point. But then you could just do so much with tourism in this town. There's so much potential. I would love to just sit in a room with the people who have the power to change it.
Yeah, and the money.
And literally just shout the question, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why have you not done it?
Yeah, why we're not talking about our boot and shoe industry in every single...
There's literally no trace of it wherever you go. I'm kind of split on the whole, like, shoe heritage thing for the future. Like, I love it, and I think it should be spoken about, but it's the most inaccessible thing. Like,
I don't think it should be the only thing that we focus on. Definitely. Because, you know, the music scene, the creative scene, food and drink, like, across Northampton and Northamptonshire is sick.
Yeah.
So I do feel like there's still a place for the boot and shoe industry, but it needs to be nestled in lots of other stuff that's more relevant and accessible.
Yeah. Like, I feel with the boot and shoe thing, it's depending who you speak to. Some people are like, think that that's all we should shout about. Like, you know, how if you go to, I forgot the city. What's the city? Is it what's the one in Norfolk? Norwich. They've got like the Coleman's mustard. Then if you go to like, this is really bad. This is me just trying to think of the places I can't think of them. The one where Shakespeare's from.
Yes.
Yeah. If you go there, it's just him.
Stratford.
That's the one. yeah, like they just shout about their one main thing, and there's some people in this town who think we should just shout about
No,
that.
I disagree.
But it's like our shoe history is so expensive. Like if you want to be involved in it, like if you want to buy a pair of churches, you've got to be willing to spend like £400 on a pair of shoes. If you want to buy a pair of Crockett and Jones, you've got to have a big healthy wallet. I don't have that big healthy wallet.
No.
I've never met anyone who does have that big healthy
even
wallet.
buying like DMs that are Northamptonshire based, they're not cheap shoes,
not
are
really,
they?
no.
So no, I agree, and I think the fact that they don't even have shops in Northampton because we're not exclusive enough. Like when I used to work in London and I would walk through Mayfair,
Yeah.
I'd see Crockett and Jones and Churches and all the rest of it, but they were exclusive luxury shops that wouldn't, quite frankly, wouldn't fit in Northampton,
Yeah.
and nobody would buy any shoes from them anyway because we don't have that money.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it should be celebrated, but as part of lots of other things.
Yeah.
Like the food and drink industry in Northampton. Like, so we went to Northamptonshire Day at Delapree Abbey earlier, and they had so many local food producers. There was a guy there from Molten Pies, which I didn't even know was a thing, but apparently that's the thing. He sold out of his 160 pies within 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
45 minutes he'd sold out. Like,
wow.
What's Poppin' popcorn makers who are amazing. We got there, they'd sold out, and I was devastated because I really wanted some of their popcorn today.
Their popcorn's amazing.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Mango salted caramel.
Oh, I know. And I was just like,
amazing.
why don't you have any? But yeah, so food and drink providers, locally based, you know, I heard they were talking on the radio about like there's now something like 5 or 6 different Northampton cheese manufacturers. You know, you've got the Phipps Brewery, so many different things, and you know, even when you think about like Flo's Kitchen, who are like the vegan people. Sorry, Flo's. But they like, it's people like that, it's things like that should be pushed to the forefront.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's our biggest culture now is food and drink, personally. I think music then sort of follows on from that, but I think food and drink is the one thing we all need to sort of stand up and get behind, because everyone eats and everyone drinks. Everyone does it, so it's the easiest thing for us to celebrate.
Definitely.
Like, you can do so much with it as well. You can have, why do we not have like a bigger food fair? Why do we not have like a bigger something that just celebrates these people? Like, why is there no place for us to all come together and celebrate with them? I don't.
Yeah.
It winds me up.
I mean, what I enjoyed about the summer was that there were so many festivals on in Northampton. There was, you know, the scaled back but still very successful version of the Umbrella Fair. There was the Carnival, Balloon Festival. Like, there's so much that happens every year in Northampton. And that includes like your food and drink, although not as many providers as I would like to have seen.
Yeah.
You know, we should have much more of a variety of the folks who sold out today should be kind of at every festival.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing about the tourist part of it. If you come to Northampton in the summer, every weekend there's something. There's something happening that you could go and see, get involved with. Like, how we're not capitalising on this, I've got no idea.
I don't know. I don't know if it's. I think it's our own faults. I don't want to be that person who points the finger and goes, council should do more, that so and so should do more. We all need to come together more and push it ourselves.
I agree.
Because I don't think it's. There's a lot of people who will say, oh, well, you know, so and so doesn't promote this and we don't do anything. Like, who is we? Like, other than us as people, we all need to just champion it.
I think if we start talking well about our town, then everyone else will start thinking about it in a positive light. You know, but if all you ever see on the news or hear on the radio or see in the newspaper are people from Northampton slagging off the town, why should anyone else give a shit about it? Like,
that is all you ever see. If you turn on the news and if you were to even go on the like BBC website or any news website and search Northampton, you would just literally see negativity. You'd just see council in crisis, or so and so in crisis, or stabbing, or attack, or assault. There is not one single bit of positive news that gets pushed.
That's why everyone should buy the Happy Hood.
No, they really should buy that.
Available in 10 local stockists and online. But no, like, all joking aside, yeah, please buy it. But that's the whole point, is if people, and this isn't just Northampton based, this is people across any town or any city, because we've all got, every town, city, village, whatever, has all got difficulties and they've all got stuff that could be improved. But if we all just took a minute and thought, right, okay, what do we like about where we live? What are we proud of? What can we, sing and dance about? And actually did it, we would all be happier, healthier, more connected, more well-adjusted people. Like, that's a fact.
Yeah. What would be your favourite thing though?
About Northampton?
Yeah, you gave me a little.
You asked me this the other day.
Yeah.
The thing is, you put me on the spot because there's so many things that I love about Northampton, and I could get a little bit carried away. I think my response was something about, like, I love the fact that there's, like, a connected community or something like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I could literally go on all day about what I love about Northampton. I love the green spaces because we've got, like, Abington Park is probably one of my favourite parks ever. I don't know why. It's certainly not the prettiest that I've ever been to, but there's something about it that I love. Yeah. Like I said, I love the fact that there's always stuff going on in the summer that you can get outside and go to. Like, even having a brass band at Abington Park every Sunday, which is the cutest thing ever.
Does that happen?
That happens. Oh my God, have you never been to bands in the park?
I've lived in this town for 23 years and I've never even known that was a thing.
Wow, oh, it's so cute. They get brass bands from all over the county to come and play songs, and they'll play, like, the classic, like, old-fashioned songs, but then they might throw something crazy in, like an Amy Winehouse or something. And then they'll always play at the end the national anthem, which I find really strange, and then all of the old people stand up while it's on, not national anthem, no, Queen, no, what is it? Fuck. You know the thing about the Queen? God save the Queen. Is that a national anthem?
It is.
God, I was like, no, is that what they call it? Yeah, but all the old folk, like, stand up and kind of, like, take their hats off, and I don't know, this must be some kind of respect, but that's cute, like, and I just sit down because I'm not into that, but like, yeah, so there's that kind of stuff in the summer. There's just being able to go into, like, loads of different coffee shops, and like you said about the food, there's different types of food everywhere. Anything that you fancy you can find, and done well, not just shitty versions either. Like I said, the architecture, I'm obsessed with the architecture. I love the Guildhall. I'm absolutely obsessed with the lift tower, so much so I'm going to get a tattoo of it on me somewhere.
So am I.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, there are so many big and small things that I love about this town, and I didn't always feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like since I've shifted my mindset and started looking for the good, I find it in abundance.
Yeah.
And that is a lot to do with the people that I know, because there was a lot of, I've not always been happy in Northampton, and I have felt quite, like, disconnected and lonely at certain points. But it really was a shift in my own mindset, which then, drew lots of people to me, who then kind of connected me to lots of other different things. And there's just so much I love. What do you love? I could go on all day. What do you love about it?
I don't even know where to start, because I was the same. I always used to, when I was up until the age of 17, I used to just rip into the place. Hated it, hated who was here, everything about it. And then when I was about 19, 20, I was just like, I could either be that person who constantly talks down somewhere, or I could just try and do something to change it. Because me talking it down is going to do absolutely bugger all to help it. But what do I love? I love the people, I think, the most, and, like, what they do with it. So I sort of, most of my days I spend in coffee shops, because I just have some sort of caffeine addiction. I spend most of my time either in ground on Welly Road or in Yellow Bourbon down in town, and I don't know how Steve's put up with me going into Yellow Bourbon so much and just sitting at a table for hours at a time. But yeah, like for me, it's just all about the little pockets of people and what they do, because I've been to other towns where it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have the sense of community that we have. It doesn't have the... I feel like you can always bump into people when you're walking around Northampton. Like like you'll just be walking down a street and you'll bump into someone who you know runs such and such a shop, who then also knows one of your other friends, and you can end up in a conversation. You'll pop into somewhere else, and then I don't really know how to word it, but it's just that
it's really nice, isn't it? It's really nice to kind of have that. Yeah, like
we're a huge town with like a villagey feel sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes, and we really are a massive town. I think we're the biggest town in the UK that's not a city, right?
Really?
That used to be a start. I don't
Well,
know
I know
if it
that
still
there's
exists.
about 220,000 people in Northampton, residence-wise.
Right.
So I don't know how that ranks us.
I don't know. I think it might
But
be the
it's pretty
size, like actual.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. That's an old stat. I don't know if it still applies.
I could probably believe that.
But yeah, we have a bit of like an almost villagey feel for the size we are, and I love that. Like even if you don't know who someone is, you know who they are.
Yeah.
Like you see them, like especially if you're in town, and you go to all the pubs or the cafes, you like see the same people every day, and even if you don't know them, you don't talk to them.
You
just
recognise
them.
them.
Yeah, it's sort of comforting. You walk around going, "Oh, it's so and so." I love it.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, and on that note, we've talked for an hour,
We have.
which we knew was going to be easy, really, didn't we?
Yeah, I can talk.
That's not a problem for either of us.
No.
But it's been really nice to talk about Northampton, even though that wasn't. Well, no, I wanted to talk about community.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. We did do community.
I think we did community.
Yeah.
And then we just did our love of Northampton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spiel that I give everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I feel like we're probably the biggest end town like supporters. Well, I don't know. There's a group of us really. But
There is a big group. There's quite a few that I've met since doing this actually. Jason Hart from the Hat Box as well. I never knew him before, but since doing this,
he's a great guy.
he's lovely. He's really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And Josh at Audio Works.
Yeah, Josh is amazing as well.
He's very positive about the town.
Yeah.
And Bill Pollard, who is
Bill's a superhero as well.
but always gonna be my legend. He's like the star.
Do you know the weird thing about Bill is I never knew him until this, but every time I did something or like met someone, and it'd be like, and we'd talk about Northampton, someone would always go, "Do you know Bill Pollard?"
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
no, but everyone keeps mentioning him.
He's like the king of Northampton or something.
Everyone knows him.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone, and anything you do, because I like bikes, so if I rode bikes and stuff, they go, "Oh, have you ever heard of Bill Pollard?" I'm just like, huh? Why do you all know him? But
I found myself in a very strange situation where I was at Bill Pollard's back passage, pun intended, and then all of a sudden, Dr. David Smart, who is one of the GPs at my local surgery, but I also sit on the Action for Happiness steering group with him. He just popped out into this passage. Again, sounds very dodgy. And then some woman from BBC Radio Northampton just turned up, and Bill was like, "Do you want a cup of tea in my garden?" To everyone. I was just like, "This is this is bizarre." He knows everyone.
He does, yeah.
But he's a legend like that.
And he's got the best sense of humour as well.
Oh, he's
so funny.
He's so sarky as well, but I love that.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Oh, just a big love fest for Bill Pollard right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we've sold the town to people, and that if people are listening to this who've never been to Northampton, hopefully they'll come. Maybe we should do Northampton tours.
That would actually be good.
That would actually be good.
A little walk-in tour. Actually, it's a bit big for a walk-in tour. A little bike tour.
Oh my god. Okay, that's a side project. Oh no. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And please check out Hometown Projects
Please do.
.co.uk or?
It's hometownprojects.com or at hometownproj on Twitter and Instagram.
Sick.
Yeah.
Check you out. Buy your t-shirts.
Buy them.
Come visit Northampton. Thank you so much for listening to episode 5 of It's Character Building, the podcast. I really enjoyed chatting to Alex. I hope you enjoyed listening. It's really cool to meet somebody who's in their 20s and has their shit together and is positive and motivated and getting stuff done, and not letting anyone tell them that they have to live their life a certain way. It's really brave and I really admire it, because when I was his age, I was a mess and I was living the life everyone else expected of me. So it's just really inspirational to see somebody so young stepping outside of their comfort zone and doing something cool. And, you know, wanting to do something for their community and for other people and not being selfish, which a lot of people can be. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it and learnt some stuff from Alex, and hopefully if you're not from Northampton, please come check us out, because we've got some cool stuff going on. So yeah, if you liked it, please like, share, subscribe. I will be writing blogs soon again. Woo! So if you haven't listened, if you haven't read my blogs, head over to www.its-character-building.com. Just search It's Character Building in Google and I will come up. And I'm It's Character Building on all of the socials. So go follow me, let me know what you think. And thanks ever so much for listening.